Have you ever felt that profound transformation, a sense of peace and connection that changed everything? That moment when the world around you stays the same, but something inside you has fundamentally shifted? Today, we're going to peel back the curtain on this experience and reveal the secrets of the neurochemical reactions that literally transform your brain during a spiritual awakening. It often starts subtly, doesn't it? A crisis, a loss, a moment of deep loneliness. And suddenly what once made sense feels illusory. You start to feel a presence, an energy you can't quite explain. Some call it God, the universe, or the higher self. But within your body, a chemical revolution is underway, a bioelectrical reform completely altering how your brain works. One of the first things to change is your perception of time. The brain, so used to a linear second-by-second march, starts to lose its reference point. Your brain waves, especially gamma and theta waves, become more frequent. These waves create bridges between your logical mind and the mystical, the realm of intuition. This is when you get that feeling that everything is connected. It's not just a nice thought. It's a reflection of new synchronicity between the neural networks in your brain responsible for empathy and deep contemplation. Simultaneously, the prefrontal cortex, your brain's CEO in charge of planning and judgment, starts to quiet down. This is why, during an awakening, you might feel less afraid of making mistakes, less obsessed with controlling every outcome. You begin to feel a peace that seems to come from another dimension entirely. Your limbic system, the seat of your emotions, starts releasing more dopamine and serotonin. It's like your brain is rewarding you for every moment of presence, every conscious breath. But it's not all sunshine and bliss. Many of us go through a dark night of the soul. During this phase, your brain has to readjust to a new frequency. The old neural pathways linked to fear, ego, and suffering begin to disintegrate. This can cause some intense symptoms: insomnia, brain fog, anxiety, and a profound sense of emptiness. Your dopamine and serotonin levels can fluctuate wildly. It feels like you're losing a part of yourself, and in a way, you are. Your old identity is dissolving. Neuroscientists have a term for this: spiritual neuroplasticity. It's the process where your brain forges new connections to adapt to broader states of consciousness. Your hippocampus, linked to emotional memory, and your cingulate cortex, linked to empathy, start working together in a more integrated way. This rewiring is what stimulates that incredible feeling of unity and interconnectedness. You start to perceive that yourself isn't just this isolated body, but a small part of something much, much larger. Fascinating studies with monks and mystics show that during deep meditation, the part of the brain responsible for our sense of separation, the parietal lobe, quiets down significantly. This is why people in these states literally feel like they are merging with everything. They don't just believe they're connected. They feel it. The brain translates this into a continuous flow of harmony, even producing a substance called anandamide, the bliss molecule. The name comes from the Sanskrit word ananda, which means pure happiness. So this inner transformation isn't magic, but it is sacred. When you awaken, your brain is actively rewriting old code. It's deleting automatic responses of fear and replacing them with a state of presence and contemplation. It's like a dormant part of you finally remembers its true purpose. And at this point, your mind begins to recognize a new kind of intelligence, not a rational one, but a spiritual one. A silent wisdom that communicates through vibrations, not words. Science is finally starting to catch up. The field of neurotheology studies how spiritual experiences affect brain activity. And guess what? They've found consistent patterns of electrical harmony during prayer, meditation, and near-death experiences. It's as if the brain enters a state of vibrational coherence, where different areas resonate together, producing a real, measurable sensation of transcendence. What spirituality calls enlightenment, science is beginning to call neural synchrony. Now this transition can be intense. It can shake your ego to its core and destroy old beliefs. After all, your identity is being rebuilt from the ground up. The brain, which has been conditioned for survival for millennia, suddenly has to recognize that there's something beyond the physical, beyond the intellect. Your brain chemistry scrambles to keep up with your expanding consciousness, and it's not always a smooth ride. This is the true test of the spirit. But when balance finally arrives, something extraordinary happens. Your brain networks stabilize, your nervous system harmonizes, And a new kind of serotonin begins to flow, the result of a brain that has learned to live in gratitude. It's an irreversible turning point. You can no longer see the world in the same old way. You feel everything, perceive everything, and live with a new clarity. And when you smile, it's with your whole being because you recognize the entire universe reflected in every person you meet. Spiritual awakening is a real neurobiological event, a living mutation within the human mind. The awakened brain is more compassionate, more conscious, and deeply integrated with the energy of the universe. It works in harmony with the heart, creating an energy field that is powerful and palpable. Ultimately, you realize the outside world was never the enemy. The real battle was always within your own mind. And you see that everything you were searching for outside yourself, love, meaning, purpose, was always right here, inside you, just waiting for the right moment to be activated. Perhaps that moment is now. If you felt a sense of recognition hearing this, if it felt like an echo of your own experience, then you are on the path. The awakening has already begun within you. Allow yourself to follow this light. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If this resonated with you, please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more content that explores the deepest mysteries of the mind and spirit. See you next time. Have you ever felt like a new person is taking over the controls of your own mind? As spiritual awakening deepens, that's exactly what happens. It's like an internal engineer has appeared, ready to rewrite the code that has been running your life on autopilot for years. This is where spiritual transformation becomes biological, reprogramming your brain, cell by cell, impulse by impulse. Our brain is a living laboratory, constantly reacting to our thoughts and emotions. Every memory leaves a chemical trace. Every belief shapes an electrical pattern. But during a spiritual awakening, these patterns begin to recalibrate. Hormones like serotonin and dopamine reorganize themselves, like an orchestra finally tuning its instruments after years of playing out of key. Suddenly, feelings of gratitude, compassion, and peace, which were once rare visitors, start to feel like home. Fear and despair, on the other hand, begin to lose their grip. This process starts deep within the brain. The thalamus, which acts as the brain's gatekeeper for perception, becomes more sensitive. It starts filtering what reaches your conscious mind in a whole new way. This is why awakened individuals often say the world looks different. Colors seem brighter. Sounds more intense, the very air feels lighter. It's not that reality has changed, but your brain's interpretation of it has gained new, vibrant layers. Of course, this chemical overhaul doesn't happen without a fight. The brain, comfortable in its old ways, will try to pull you back. It sends out warning signals, creates repetitive thoughts, and pushes you towards old distractions. But here's where the magic happens. Awakened consciousness learns to observe these impulses without getting caught up in them. By simply watching your thoughts without acting, you start to deactivate the old neural pathways of your former self and activate new circuits of presence. Scientists call this self-directed neuroplasticity. Spiritual traditions call it inner reform. As your mind reaches this stage, it begins to communicate with your body in a more profound way. The pineal gland, often called the gateway to the soul, becomes especially active. During deep meditation, it can synchronize with your heart's rhythm and align with your brain waves. This might lead to symbolic visions, inner lights, or feelings of expansion. While these experiences can feel mystical, they have a physiological basis. Your brain is learning to translate the subtle language of energy into electrical signals your consciousness can understand. At the same time, the limbic system, the guardian of our emotions, starts its own spring cleaning. Emotions that have been repressed for years, fear, sadness, anger, guilt, begin to surface. This isn't a punishment. It's a purification. Your brain is clearing its emotional hard drive, metabolizing old pain, and turning it into new vital energy. During this time, it's common to feel an intense need for solitude, to feel introspective, or even feel like you're going crazy. But what's really happening is a profound spiritual realignment, and your body is simply rebooting to catch up. Contemplative neuroscience is now showing us what mystics have known for centuries. Intense spiritual practices increase the connection between the prefrontal cortex, our center for conscious thought, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest and healing. This explains why a continuous practice of self-awareness can lead to real physical benefits, like lower blood pressure, a stronger immune system, and reduced chronic stress. Awakening isn't just in your head. It's a deeply physical, somatic process that redefines your body from the inside out. Let's talk about the default mode network. This is the part of your brain that's active when you read daydreaming or lost in thought, responsible for that constant stream of inner chatter. During awakening, the activity in this network drops dramatically, and in its place, silence arises. Not the absence of sound, but the presence of pure awareness. In this silence, you stop being dragged along by your thoughts and start choosing what to think. The brain obeys. The chemistry follows. The body responds, and for the first time, your spirit truly takes command. This is the point where the spiritual and the biological become one. The soul is no longer just an idea. It's a force actively organizing your brain's function. Emotions become your compass, and thoughts are no longer your tyrants. The intuitive right hemisphere of your brain begins a harmonious dance with the logical left hemisphere. This synchronicity produces what we can call spiritual clarity, the ability to see the world as it is without losing your inner peace. But remember, the more light that comes in, the more shadows are revealed. Awakening also illuminates the unconscious, bringing forward patterns that need to be transformed. Your brain becomes aware of its own chemical prisons, the pull of dopamine, the stress of cortisol. And here, you face a choice. Will you let yourself be governed by these automatic chemical reactions, or will you use the power of your awareness to rise above them? That choice is the true miracle of awakening. When you understand this, you realize your brain isn't an enemy to be conquered, but a sacred ally. It's the temple where spiritual energy manifests as thought, emotion, and action. Caring for your mind becomes an act of devotion. Each deep breath, each moment of gratitude, is an offering that rebalances your nervous system and expands your perception. Awakening isn't a single event. It's a continuous process of inner alchemy where consciousness shapes biology and biology reflects consciousness. As this stage stabilizes, a new harmony settles in. There are still challenges, but your perception has changed forever. You no longer want to escape life. You want to live it with presence, to understand it, and to transcend its limitations. Existence itself becomes a silent prayer. The journey inward only deepens from here. What once felt like a search for something distant now feels like a reunion with your own center. You realize that enlightenment isn't a destination, but a process. And your brain, now reprogrammed by this new vibration, creates the pathways to sustain this new way of being. Your body and mind become instruments for a greater intelligence expressing itself through you. When silence becomes your home and chaos transforms into wisdom, you'll understand, awakening doesn't change the world, it changes the way you see it. And your brain is the living proof that the divine has always been here, waiting within you. Thank you for joining me on this part of the journey. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. In our next episode, we'll explore the even deeper layers of this spiritual reprogramming. Stay curious and see you then. Every transformation demands destruction. Before a seed can flourish, the earth must be torn open. In spiritual awakening, this rupture happens within your mind. It's the phase where your brain, forced to adapt to a new consciousness, collapses its old patterns. This is the inner storm, the moment the old self begins to disintegrate, and the new one hasn't yet been born. It is by far the most feared and most sacred stage of the journey. Up to now, awakening might have felt like an expansion, a movement toward the light. But for light to fill a space, the darkness must first reveal its shape. This is when the brain reacts intensely. Forgotten memories resurface, repressed emotions erupt uncontrollably, and chaotic thoughts dominate your mind. It's as if all your inner shadows have found their voice at once. Science might call this neurochemical dysregulation. Spirituality calls it the purification of the soul. During this process, your amygdala, the brain's fear and survival center, goes on high alert. It desperately tries to restore its old control, convinced it's saving you from a total collapse. This is why you feel overwhelming anxiety, confusion, and extreme emotional impulses. But for the first time, something stronger is rising within your mind: conscious observation. Your awakened consciousness starts to realize that you feel fear, but you are not the fear. In that recognition, true liberation begins. Your hippocampus, which handles emotional memories, also gets to work. It starts reorganizing past experiences to fit them into this new structure of meaning. This is why it's so common to revisit old memories, often with a deep sense of sadness or regret. Your brain is re-evaluating your past, reinterpreting your personal stories to finally set the present free. This is a powerful chemical and energetic process. Dopamine levels fluctuate, cortisol spikes and falls, and your nervous system strains to stabilize the internal chaos. But this chaos isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of reconstruction. In spiritual terms, this phase is often called the ego collapse. Your conditioned mind, shaped by years of limiting beliefs, is fighting for its survival. It resists the idea that it's not the center of the universe. This resistance creates a deep internal conflict. One part of you wants to break free, while the other desperately clings to control. Inside your brain, this translates into a chemical war: adrenaline and serotonin battling for dominance, synapses firing between states of fear and freedom. And slowly, bit by bit, the old you begins to lose ground. However painful it may seem, the disintegration of the self is essential. The old self has to collapse so that your mind can operate under a new neural architecture. The old synaptic connections, the ones linked to fear, judgment, and self-sabotage, begin to weaken. In their place, new connections emerge, sustained by states of empathy, intuition, and compassion. Your brain, once conditioned to simply react to the world, starts to become the conscious creator of its own responses. Spiritual awakening, at this moment, becomes a full-blown existential reprogramming. Your physical body feels this transition too. Unexplained aches and pains, deep fatigue, heightened sensitivity, and fluctuations in body temperature are all common. These are simply reflexes of your nervous system adjusting to a new frequency. The chakras, those subtle energy centers that correspond to glands and neurological regions, begin to pulse in a new harmony. The base of your spine, where the dormant life energy known as Kundalini resides, can awaken, rising to the crown of your head, activating the pineal gland, and expanding your perception. This phenomenon, however mystical it sounds, is an electrical process that alters your brain's biochemistry, stimulating a coherent flow of energy between your cells. At this point, the line between spirituality and neuroscience becomes almost invisible. Every intensely felt emotion is an electrical signal. Every profound insight is a discharge of neurotransmitters. The heaven and hell of awakening happen within the same space, your brain. And yet, this isn't a battle against enemies, but a process of reintegration. The shadows that once frightened you are just parts of yourself calling out for light. When you finally understand this, fear begins to dissolve and chaos gives way to understanding. The mind that survives this phase is never the same. It starts to see that control is an illusion and that true strength comes from surrender. Surrender, in this context, doesn't mean giving up. It means accepting the flow of transformation. In this state, your brain begins to operate in a more integrated way. The activity of the analytical left hemisphere reduces, allowing the right hemisphere, responsible for intuition and creativity, to take a more central role. This is the moment when reason and spirit finally begin to cooperate instead of compete. From this cooperation, something new emerges, a feeling of profound trust. You begin to feel that a higher intelligence is guiding each step. You don't understand everything rationally, but you feel an inexplicable confidence. This confidence is biochemical. It comes from the restored balance between serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin, the trio that supports feelings of well-being, connection, and love. The brain that once reacted to fear now begins to react to gratitude. And life, little by little, starts to organize itself around this new vibration. But this isn't an immediate happy ending. Disintegration is gradual. Old parts of you will try to come back. Self-destructive thoughts may appear like echoes of chemical memories, but your awakened consciousness now knows the way. It observes, it understands, and it dissolves. Your mind begins to learn something both simple and revolutionary, not to believe everything it thinks. This understanding is, in itself, a neurochemical liberation. It slows down the nervous system and brings your brain back to the present moment. In time, the storm subsides. What remains is a different kind of calm, not the superficial calm of silence, but the deep serenity that follows chaos, a mind that has been reborn. When this phase ends, you become more authentic, more sensitive, more human. The brain structures linked to compassion and empathy strengthen, and your perception of reality changes forever. You begin to understand that the meaning of life isn't found outside of you, but in the synapses that have learned to harmonize with the rhythm of the universe. The awakening, then, reveals its true purpose: to destroy the false so that the real may emerge. The old mind dissolves, and with it the old world. A new perspective arises, lighter, more lucid, more connected. Your brain, now reordered, vibrates at a different frequency. It's as if consciousness whispered directly to your cells, teaching them to live without fear, and they learned. At the end of this storm, the awakened person feels a natural impulse to share, to expand the light they've discovered within themselves. Not as a messiah, but as someone who recognizes that the true miracle isn't changing the world, but seeing it with new eyes. And when this understanding takes root, the soul begins to build the next stage of awakening, the one where spirit and brain work together to create reality. This chapter teaches us that even the darkest phases of awakening are essential parts of our reconstruction. It's in this balance of light and shadow that the mind begins to discover its true power. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the inner workings of spiritual awakening. If this resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe for more, and share your own experiences in the comments below. Until next time, be kind to yourself through the storm. Have you ever felt a moment of perfect clarity, where your mind goes silent, your body feels light, and time itself seems to stand still? This isn't just a fleeting feeling. It's a sign that something profound is happening within your brain. It's the moment your brainwaves, once a chaotic storm of thoughts and stress, begin to align, forming what I call the invisible symphony. Think of your brain as an orchestra. Every thought, every emotion, every sensation is an electrical impulse, a vibration. In our day-to-day lives, this orchestra is often out of sync, pulled in different directions by stress, fear, and endless distractions. But during a spiritual awakening, this orchestra finds its conductor, your awakened consciousness. Suddenly, gamma waves, which are linked to heightened perception and aha moments, start to fire up. They create super-fast connections across different brain regions, allowing your logic, emotion, and intuition to finally work together as a team. This is where that indescribable clarity comes from. You start understanding complex truths with an almost magical simplicity. It's not magic. It's the natural state of a brain in perfect coherence. At the same time, alpha and theta waves begin to flow more smoothly. These are the waves of deep relaxation, the bridge between your conscious and subconscious mind. When they take over, you enter a state similar to deep meditation, that sweet spot between being awake and asleep. In this state, the past and future fade away. All that exists is the here and now. This is what many describe as feeling a deep connection with the divine, a peaceful merging with everything. Science calls this a state of presence, where your emotional brain and your rational brain are finally holding hands. But the symphony doesn't stop there. As your brainwaves align, your heart gets the memo. The heart actually has its own network of neurons, and its electrical impulses begin to vibrate in perfect rhythm with your brain. This creates a powerful energy field around you, something science can measure as the heart's electromagnetic field. This heart-brain coherence releases feel-good chemicals like oxytocin and activates your vagus nerve, which is responsible for that deep sense of calm and connection. You no longer look for the divine out there because you can feel it pulsating within you. What once seemed mystical is now being illuminated by science. Quantum physics teaches us that everything is energy and vibration. By changing your brainwaves, your awakened brain is literally changing the frequency at which you interact with reality. It's like tuning your radio from a fuzzy, static-filled station to a crystal-clear one. You start tuning into more subtle, harmonious layers of reality. This is why people in this state report experiencing incredible synchronicities, sharp intuition, and a sense that life itself is organizing around their inner state. During this alignment, your brain goes through a process of neurological self-organization. It rewires itself. Areas that didn't communicate well before, like your logical prefrontal cortex and your emotional centers, start working in beautiful harmony. This creates a sense of flow, where thoughts feel effortless and intuitive answers seem to pop up from a place beyond your rational mind. Your brain has literally changed its frequency, unlocking dormant states of consciousness. However, this beautiful symphony requires practice. It's not a one-and-done deal. An awakened brain needs care. If your body is exhausted, your heart is closed off, or your mind is trapped in a cycle of tension, that delicate balance can be lost. This is why practices like meditation, conscious breathing, and simply sitting in silence are so vital. They are the instruments that keep your inner orchestra perfectly tuned. When you consistently practice this inner surrender, your brain learns to stay in these elevated states naturally. Neuroscience calls this sustained neural coherence. When you achieve this, your brain becomes more efficient, using less energy while improving its internal communication. It produces hormones that stabilize your mood. An enlightened mind vibrates at the frequency of serenity. Every thought creates harmony. Every emotion reflects balance. Spirituality might call this a rebirth of the soul, but it's your own body finding its perfect rhythm with divine consciousness. As this happens, you'll notice subtle shifts in how you perceive the world. Colors might seem more vibrant, sounds purer. Even silence will feel rich and textured. Your brain, now more sensitive and harmonious, processes the world from a place of inner peace, not fear or rush. The world begins to reflect your internal state, not the other way around. And this reversal is the true power of awakening, transforming yourself from the inside out. But this elevated state also comes with a new responsibility. The higher your mental vibration, the more sensitive you become to lower, dissonant vibrations. Negative emotions, tense environments, and destructive thoughts can feel much more intense. It's like your finely tuned system can't tolerate the static of old energies. This isn't a step backward. It's a constant invitation to purify your inner and outer worlds. Awakening isn't a final destination. It's the continuous, loving maintenance of your mental, emotional, and spiritual harmony. As this harmony becomes your new baseline, something extraordinary happens. You start to see the flow of creation in real time. What you once called coincidence, you now recognize as synchronicity. The right people, events, and opportunities appear in your life as direct responses to your inner vibrational state. Your coherent brain acts as both a transmitter and a receiver of reality. You discover the secret that mystics have proclaimed for millennia. The outer world is a perfect mirror of your inner frequency. From this point on, life stops being a battle and becomes a beautiful dance. You move with the universe, and the universe moves with you. Your brain operates in a state of dynamic peace-aware, creative, and stable. A natural confidence, a sense of purpose, and a quiet joy become your constant companions. Your body vibrates in harmony with something greater, and your spirit remembers what it has always known. That nothing, absolutely nothing, is separate. Spiritual awakening, at its core, is the grand reunion of your personal frequency with the consciousness of the cosmos. By tuning your brain to the harmony of the whole, you begin to think with the universe, feel with the heart of humanity, and exist in a state of profound unity. The true power isn't about escaping your mind, but refining it until it becomes a clear channel for the light of consciousness. This is where science and soul shake hands and where your transformation becomes real, lasting, and truly magnificent. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content on unlocking your highest potential. I'll see you in the next video. Have you ever felt that time seems to speed up when you're happy and drag on when you're bored? What if I told you that this isn't just a feeling but a glimpse into a much deeper truth about reality? We're about to explore the moment spiritual awakening stops being just an idea and starts to literally bend time and space around you. This is the stage where life begins to communicate back. Coincidences become so frequent they feel like messages. The flow of life seems to magically align with your thoughts and feelings. This isn't imagination. It's a profound shift in how your brain perceives reality. It's moving beyond simple, linear logic and tapping into what ancient masters called expansive consciousness. So, what's happening inside your head? This transformation has a real physiological basis. As your mind finds balance, it quiets the part of the brain linked to impulse and urgency, the part that's always chasing the next thing. This chemical shift literally alters your perception of time. The rigid clock you've always known begins to feel more elastic, more fluid. The past and future become what they truly are, mental concepts. Your brain starts to operate in a continuous state of now. You begin to realize that time is relative, not as a cool physics concept, but as a lived, breathing truth. When you're in a state of inner harmony, events just click into place, effortlessly. But when you're filled with confusion or anxiety, time seems to stutter and resist. It's as if your own inner state is conducting the orchestra of your life. life starts organizing itself from the inside out. Time doesn't control you, your awakened mind shapes time. And it's not just time that bends, space does too. Have you ever felt, during a quiet moment or deep meditation, that the boundaries of your own body seem to dissolve? That feeling of expanding beyond your physical self, of becoming one with everything? That's your brain reducing the activity in the area that tells you where you are in space. Consciousness stops feeling like it's located inside your head and starts to feel like it is the space around you. You start to feel connected to an invisible network, the energetic fabric of the universe. From a neuroscience perspective, this happens when your brain's sensory networks sync up with your emotional centers. Reality stops being just what you see and hear. It becomes vibrational. You perceive that everything is energy, shaped by consciousness. Every single thought you have creates a small but real electromagnetic field, influencing the world around you. The old saying, "Your mind creates your reality," starts to gain real scientific weight. In this mature phase of awakening, you are no longer just a spectator watching the world go by. You become a co-creator, interacting with reality like a musician playing an invisible instrument, knowing that every emotion is a note. When you vibrate with fear or doubt, the harmony is lost. When you vibrate with gratitude and love, the melody flows beautifully. And your brain loves this harmony. It responds by releasing feel-good chemicals like oxytocin and serotonin, reinforcing that state of fullness and well-being. This is the point where everything flips. You stop looking for answers outside yourself because you realize everything is happening within you. External events are simply mirrors reflecting your inner world. When this truth sinks in, the weight of the material world dissolves. The fear of the future fades, regrets about the past disappear, and the present becomes a living, breathing dimension. It's no longer just a fleeting moment between what was and what will be. It is the very field where everything happens. Ancient traditions called this enlightenment, but that word can feel intimidating. It's not about becoming superhuman. It's about returning to our natural state of being, one that was simply buried under mental noise. The awakened mind sees that the universe isn't a straight line, but a vibrant, spiraling dance of infinite presence. Everything is happening at once, and by changing your own frequency, you change the reality you experience. This understanding leads to a profound emotional expansion. A kind of supernatural empathy emerges. Your brain, now wired for compassion, resonates deeply with the joys and sorrows of others. The very concept of other people begins to fade. Love ceases to be just a feeling. It becomes your state of consciousness. In this state, time and space no longer separate us. They become expressions of a single, universal intelligence. This transformation is so powerful that your physical body starts to respond. Your cells begin to regenerate more efficiently. People report improved metabolism, the easing of chronic pain, and a stronger immune system. Scientifically, this is linked to lower stress hormones and increased heart coherence. But spiritually, it's a sign that the vibration of your consciousness is healing your physical matter. Your body becomes a clearer, more harmonious vessel for life energy. When this way of perceiving the world stabilizes, you feel a strange and wonderful paradox. Everything is perfectly ordered and at the same time profoundly mysterious. You understand that every experience, good or bad, is the universe responding to the vibration you are emitting. Free will and destiny are no longer in conflict. They merge into a graceful dance. Time is no longer an enemy and space is no longer a cage. You realize there was never a separation between you and the divine, only a period of forgetting. At this point, you stop fighting the current of life. You move with it. Your actions become guided not by haste, but by precision. Your words carry vibrational weight, and your thoughts calmly and intentionally build your reality. Your brain, now calibrated to this new frequency, acts as a clear transmitter for your spirit, and life responds with perfect, impeccable synchronicity. At the end of this journey, all that's left is the deep knowing that the human mind, when purified of fear and noise, is the window through which the infinite observes itself. Time and space are just the tools. Consciousness is the conductor. When you fully embrace this truth, you begin to live in the eternal now, where nothing is missing, nothing is extra, and everything simply is asterisk. So I invite you to reflect on this. Is the time you feel passing by a concrete reality? Or is it merely a reflection of your own state of consciousness? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next chapter, where we'll dive even deeper into how this expansion of consciousness changes our very identity and reveals the true nature of the self. See you then. Have you ever felt that point in your spiritual journey where everything you thought you knew just falls away? All the theories, the beliefs, the certainties you held so dear, and even your own sense of who you are, start to dissolve. It's a profound moment. You might have thought awakening was about becoming bigger, grander, more enlightened. But what if it's the opposite? What if true awakening isn't about becoming something more, but about ceasing to be what you never truly were? This is what mystics call the symbolic death of the self. It's the collapse of that illusory identity we build. The one that whispers we are separate from everything and everyone else? This isn't a sudden, dramatic explosion. It's a quiet, gentle unraveling. Your brain, which has spent a lifetime identifying with memories, roles, and personal stories, simply starts to lose interest in holding that old image together. Neuroscience actually gives us a glimpse into this. There are parts of our brain, like the medial prefrontal cortex, that are constantly buzzing with self-perception and self-judgment. During this process, their activity quiets down. This neurological shift allows you to experience moments, however brief, where there's no you to defend or define. And what you find in that space isn't terrifying emptiness. It's a profound peace that no label or identity could ever provide. It's as if your brain finally gets to rest from the exhausting job of being you. When the constant internal chatter fades, consciousness is freed. It begins to perceive what was always there, just beyond the noise of your thoughts. The silence is no longer an absence of sound. It becomes a living, vibrant presence. It's the space where your true being at last recognizes itself without a name or a history. Paradoxically, this depth of the self doesn't destroy you. It liberates you. What disappears is the illusion that you were ever in control, the belief that you were an island in the vast ocean of existence. As the brain lets go of this fixed reference point, it becomes incredibly adaptable, creating new neural pathways centered on a perception of unity. Instead of operating on comparison, me versus you, right versus wrong, gain versus loss, it begins to function from a place of harmony. Your thinking becomes more intuitive, judgment softens into understanding, and that old, nagging need for validation dissolves into the simple serenity of just being. From a spiritual perspective, this is the great rebirth. The ego, that part of us that promised security through control, collapses under the weight of its own illusion. People who experience this often describe a literal, physical lightness. Muscle tension that they've carried for years melts away, their heart rate stabilizes, and their breathing becomes deep and calm. These physical changes are a direct reflection of an inner transformation. The nervous system shifts out of a constant state of fight or flight and into a mode of deep trust. It's as if, for the very first time, your entire body understands that it is safe. From this state, you begin to see the world without the filters of your past. There's no more struggle against what is. Acceptance naturally arises. And in that acceptance, suffering has nowhere to take root. Pain might still visit, but it no longer hardens into resistance. Your brain, free from the constant flood of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, starts producing more balancing substances like endocannabinoids and serotonin. The result is a profound state of peace that is not just a feeling, but a measurable biological reality. At this stage, your very sense of identity is radically redefined. The personal I, the one defined by a job, a story, or a past, gives way to an expanded self. You are no longer a character in the play. You are the silent, aware presence watching it all unfold. This presence observes without needing to analyze, acts without needing to justify, and loves without needing to possess. It's not selfishness, and it's not altruism. It's simply the natural flow of existence recognizing itself through you. This dissolution of identity is what has been called enlightenment. But contrary to popular imagination, there's no glory in it, no fireworks or grand announcement. There's only simplicity. The awakened person doesn't feel superior. They feel empty of self. And it is precisely in this emptiness that love arises in its purest form. Because without an I, there can be no other. Everything is seen as part of the same single field of consciousness, vibrating in harmony. The awakened brain sustains this state, operating in highly coherent, low-frequency waves, much like those recorded in long-term meditators and spiritual masters. This is the biology of silence. Of course, reaching this point doesn't mean life becomes challenge-free. The demands of daily life continue. The old mind, with its familiar patterns of thought and emotion, will try to make a comeback. But the awakened consciousness doesn't fight it. It simply observes. And in the simple act of observing without getting attached, the old patterns dissolve more and more quickly. The brain learns to maintain this state of non-identification, even while navigating the complexities of the material world. Spirituality is no longer a retreat you escape to. It becomes the very way you live. You start to move through life with a sense of effortlessness, guided by a silent intelligence. There's no need to meticulously plan every step because you trust the invisible flow that carries you. Intuition becomes your primary language. This isn't a voice in your head. It's a direct knowing, a feeling that arises in your heart and is confirmed by your entire body. Your nervous system transforms into a finely tuned instrument of consciousness. Each cell responds harmoniously, and your whole being becomes a living expression of this awareness. At this level, the human brain reaches its highest potential. It becomes transparent to consciousness. Nothing stands between your thoughts and the emptiness they arise from, between your feelings and the pure existence they are part of. It's as if the universe itself is breathing through you. Language starts to feel inadequate because what you're experiencing is beyond words. All that remains is the silence. And in that silence, the entire world reveals itself in its indescribable beauty. The death of the self is the birth of the infinite within the finite. It is the moment the human being stops searching for the divine and recognizes they are an inseparable part of it. With this realization, the fear of death loses its grip completely. It becomes obvious that only the body is temporary. Consciousness is eternal. The brain, both a witness and an instrument of this discovery, stops fighting for its own survival and begins to serve as a mirror for that conscious eternity. When you reach this point, the whole tone of life changes. The rush to get somewhere disappears because you realize there is nowhere to go. You're already here. Time dissolves into the now, space expands, and you simply are. The spiritual journey, which may have begun as a desperate search for answers, transforms into pure, simple presence. Nothing was ever conquered. It was only revealed. What was always hidden beneath layers of thought now shines through naturally. The divine in human form, the infinite breathing in this very moment. So for a moment, let's not think. Let's just feel. Feel the vast, silent space within you, beyond your name, your story, your thoughts. It is in this conscious emptiness that awakening finds its true purpose, to liberate the mind from itself, so that your being can finally live in fullness. Thank you for sharing this space with me today. If this resonated with you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more explorations into the nature of consciousness. See you next time. Have you ever felt like you've hit rock bottom, like your old self has just crumbled away? It's a terrifying feeling, but what if I told you that this collapse is not an end, but a powerful beginning? When the noise of the ego finally goes silent, something new and extraordinary starts to emerge. This isn't about getting a second chance or creating a new personality. This is a literal rebirth. Your consciousness, finally free from its old cage, begins to experience life in a completely different way from the inside out. It's like a chaotic orchestra suddenly finding its perfect harmony. This is the rebirth of your very being. After the old false identity shatters, your brain literally starts rewiring itself. Those old neural pathways of fear and anxiety that used to run the show, they begin to weaken. In their place, new connections form, linked to elevated emotions like joy, gratitude, and peace. Your brain chemistry actually changes. Dopamine, which you used to chase for fleeting pleasure, now aligns with a deep sense of purpose and presence. This isn't just a mental shift. It's a profound biological transformation, giving birth to a new inner balance that changes everything. At this point, you start to realize that life is no longer about just surviving. Your decisions stop coming from reactive impulses and start flowing from a natural, quiet intelligence. Your brain and your heart begin to communicate in coherence, creating a subtle electromagnetic field that extends beyond your physical body. The energy used to waste on constant anxious thoughts now becomes focused, concentrated. You become like a beacon, radiating clarity, balance, and peace. And the most amazing part? The world, which once seemed like a random, hostile place, starts to respond to you. This is the phase where reality stops being an enemy and becomes your mirror. Everything you experience, the people you meet, the situations you face begins to reflect your own inner vibrational state. Challenges are no longer seen as punishments, but as lessons projected by your own consciousness to help you grow. Your brain, now more receptive and sensitive, processes these experiences without resistance, absorbing each one as powerful learning. Life itself transforms into your greatest teacher, your primary tool for profound self-knowledge. From a spiritual perspective, this rebirth is when you realize you're not just a victim of circumstance, but a co-creator of your reality. The ancient separation between you and the universe dissolves. You begin to understand that the physical world is simply condensed energy, and the universe isn't some external force, but an extension of your own mind in a constant dialogue with the great whole, your brain. Interpreting this new reality starts to synchronize its left and right hemispheres. Logic and intuition, science and mystery, reason and poetry, they all merge into one integrated, beautiful truth. In this new state, fear completely loses its grip on you. Your nervous system, which was constantly wired for a fight-or-flight response, finally relaxes. Your body, now free from the constant flood of stress chemistry, enters a natural state of regeneration. You feel healthier, more creative, and more deeply aware. You discover that true intelligence isn't just in your head. It's found in the seamless harmony between your mind, your body, and your spirit. Every cell in your body begins to operate under this new, peaceful order. But this rebirth isn't about sitting still in a state of bliss. It's the beginning of a powerful new cycle of conscious creation. You start to manifest realities directly from your inner vibration. Your thoughts and intentions materialize with surprising ease because there's no longer the static of doubt and fear interfering with the signal. Faith is no longer a belief. It becomes your lived experience. Those coincidences or synchronicities you used to notice? You now recognize them as the language of the universe, responding directly to your inner alignment. Your brain becomes incredibly receptive to the energy of your intention. Your pineal gland, now aligned with natural energy rhythms, amplifies your perception and creativity. Many people report experiencing incredibly lucid dreams, sudden flashes of insight, and a profound connection to a larger cosmic energy. This has a real physiological basis. The pineal gland produces substances that can modulate our perception of time and space, allowing us to tap into levels of reality that were previously hidden from us. As your mind rebuilds itself on this new foundation, it naturally becomes more compassionate and cooperative. The old, painful sense of separation from others fades away, and empathy becomes your second nature. Your biology follows suit. Oxytocin levels, the love hormone, increase. Your immune system strengthens. The empathy networks in your brain become more active. Spirituality and biology unite with a single purpose: to sustain this state of unity and connection with all of life. And this is when you truly begin to understand your role on this planet. You realize that every thought you have and every emotion you feel generates real energy waves that influence the collective consciousness. The boundary between my life and the world completely dissolves. Taking care of your own inner state becomes an act of service to all of humanity, because a coherent, peaceful mind contributes to a network of energy that helps elevate our entire species. Your personal rebirth is, in fact, a universal one. As you continue on this path, you start to witness the tangible effects of your expanded consciousness. Your relationships become more harmonious. Meaningful synchronicities become a daily occurrence. You feel a strange sense of lightness, even in the middle of this dense, chaotic world. You no longer feel the need to defend yourself or build walls. Your only desire is to express the truth of who you are. Life becomes a beautiful, flowing dialogue between the visible and the invisible, between what you think and what you feel. Ancient spiritual traditions called this the integration of heaven and earth. It's not about escaping to some other place. It's about fully inhabiting this present moment with absolute clarity, presence, and joy. Your awakened consciousness uses your body and brain as instruments to radiate wisdom into the world. You're still human, of course, but your humanity is now infused with the presence of the infinite. Inner stillness is no longer something you have to strive for. It's your natural state of being, so what really happens after the ego dies? It's not the loss of your identity. It's the emergence of your true being, simple, conscious, and luminous. Life finally reveals itself for what it has always been, a magnificent, eternal dance between energy and consciousness, constantly recreating itself in every moment. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the rebirth of consciousness. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores the beautiful journey of awakening. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, be well. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt the mood? Or felt a sense of calm just by being around a certain person? What if I told you this isn't just a feeling, but a real, tangible exchange of energy? After the profound shift of consciousness we've discussed, the journey doesn't end. In fact, a new, incredible chapter begins, the dance of energy. Once awakened, you start to perceive a truth that was always there, just hidden from view. You're not an isolated island. You are a vibrant, living part of an invisible web that connects everything and everyone. It's a connection that, once you feel it, is as real as the ground beneath your feet. Your brain, now rewired and vibrating at a new frequency, transforms. It's no longer just a passive receiver of information from the world. It becomes a conscious, powerful emitter of energy, stepping onto the grand stage to actively participate in the cosmic dance of life. In this awakened state, you learn a fundamental universal law. Every single thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take, carries an energetic signature. This isn't just a philosophical idea, it's a practical reality. This subtle yet powerful energy directly interacts with your environment and the people you encounter. Think of your brain, now aligned with this expanded awareness, as a sophisticated transmitter. It projects electromagnetic waves that literally influence the energy fields of others. This is why some people can light up a room without saying a word, while others can drain it. This subtle exchange happens through our nervous systems. Scientists have even observed something called mirrored brainwaves. This is where our brains can actually start to reproduce the internal feelings of someone we are interacting with. It's the neurological basis for empathy and connection. This explains why being in the presence of a truly peaceful, awakened individual can make you feel calm, inspired, or even sometimes a little restless. That restlessness is often your own energy field being stirred, invited to rise to a higher, more coherent frequency. An awakened brain, operating from a place of coherence and love, emits signals that activate similar states in those around them. This ability to positively influence the collective field, often without needing words, is one of the most profound gifts of this journey. And at the heart of this energetic perception is a tiny, powerful gland in the center of our brain, the pineal gland. Often mythologized, its role is quite practical in this context. It acts as a center of perception that goes beyond our 5 ordinary senses. It's not about having a mystical sixth sense, but rather about the pineal gland functioning as a highly sensitive antenna. It receives and transmits subtle energetic information from our environment and from others, dramatically amplifying our capacity for deep empathy and intuitive connection. Scientifically, we're talking about communication at quantum levels, through electromagnetic fields that interact in real time. It's the invisible conversation happening all around us, all the time, but this dance of energy is a two-way street. Just as you can influence the world can influence you. The awakened being learns very quickly that their newfound energetic balance is precious and needs protection. Tense environments, emotionally charged situations, or spending time with deeply negative people can disrupt your inner harmony. Your energy field is permeable. Therefore, learning energy hygiene becomes as essential as brushing your teeth. Your brain, with its incredible neuroplasticity, constantly seeks coherence. It wants to maintain that beautiful state of internal and external harmony. This is why practices like meditation, conscious breathing, spending time in nature, and anchoring yourself in the present moment are not just spiritual luxuries. They are essential tools for maintaining your energetic integrity. When you master this energetic dance and it flows in balance, your entire life transforms. The profound realization dawns that you are not separate. Your energy impacts the whole, and the whole in turn influences you. It's a beautiful, reciprocal relationship. An awakened mind doesn't just know this intellectually. It lives it. It operates from a place that seeks to maximize peace, connection, and love, knowing that what it gives to the world, it also gives to itself. This creates a new way of being, a new kind of presence in the world, where your inner silence speaks as loudly as your words. This is also where we step into the realm of conscious manifestation. The awakened individual understands that creating your reality isn't just wishful thinking. It's an energetic process. When your mind is aligned with the wisdom of your heart and the truth of your soul, you broadcast a specific frequency. And like a tuning fork, you naturally attract people, circumstances, and opportunities that resonate with that inner frequency. This isn't about forceful control or trying to bend the universe to your will, it's about attunement. It's about playing your own unique, beautiful inner melody and inviting the universe to dance along with you. As a result, your relationship with the world undergoes a radical shift. Instead of reacting automatically to life's events, which is the old unconscious programming, you learn to respond consciously. You learn to choose your vibrational state * before * you act. This intentional pause, this moment of choosing your energy, changes everything. It generates completely different outcomes because your brain is now operating from a new program, one of intention and co-creation. The old reactive cycle of stimulus and response gives way to a new, creative cycle. Your life becomes a living, breathing expression of your inner energy. And what happens when you meet others who are on this same path? It's like finding your tribe. People who are vibrationally aligned naturally gravitate towards each other. They create energetic networks, communities that amplify the collective field of consciousness. When your brain connects with these groups, its capacity for empathy, cooperation, and inspiration goes into overdrive. This is the neurobiological basis for what many call communities of light or spiritual families. It's a powerful reminder that we are stronger and our light shines brighter, together. Finally, this energetic dance redefines the very meaning of power. True power isn't about dominating others or controlling your external world. True power is internal. It's about being a center of energetic coherence. The awakened brain knows that real power lies in your ability to maintain calm amidst chaos, to hold your light in the presence of darkness, and to emanate love in the face of indifference. It's a power that doesn't seek to subdue, but to uplift and transform, starting with yourself. So I invite you to reflect on this. What energy are you emitting today? With your thoughts, your words, your very presence? How might that energy be influencing not only your own life, but the lives of everyone you meet? I encourage you to deepen your practice of mindful presence, to become aware of this subtle, beautiful dance. Because when you do, you'll learn to move through life with more harmony, grace, and a quiet, unshakable power. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration today. If this resonated with you, please give this video a like and subscribe for more content on this incredible journey of awakening. I'd love to read your thoughts and experiences with this in the comments below. Until next time, be well and dance beautifully. Have you ever wondered if a spiritual awakening is just something that happens in your mind? What if I told you it's a full-body revolution, a biochemical upgrade that touches every single cell? Today, we're diving deep into Chapter 9 to uncover how awakening powerfully reshapes your physical body, creating lasting health and well-being. It's not just about feeling different. It's about your very biology realigning with your spirit. Let's start with the brain. During awakening, your brain undergoes incredible chemical and electrical transformations. This isn't just theory. It directly impacts your nervous, hormonal, and immune systems. Think of your autonomic nervous system, the one that controls your fight or flight and rest and digest responses. Spiritual awakening, through practices that expand your consciousness, essentially tells this system to chill out. It stimulates the parasympathetic system, your body's built-in repair crew. The result? Your heart rate slows down, blood pressure stabilizes, and those pesky stress hormone levels, like cortisol, take a nosedive. This isn't just about feeling calm. It's just about creating the perfect internal environment for your body to heal itself from illness and find relief from anxiety and depression. Now let's talk about the brain's feel-good chemicals. Spiritual practices like meditation and contemplation boost your serotonin, the neurotransmitter famous for mood and sleep regulation. It becomes more available and more effective. Dopamine, which drives your motivation, finds a healthy balance, freeing you from those highs and lows that can lead to compulsive behaviors. And then there's oxytocin, the love and connection hormone. As it increases, your relationships improve, and you feel a deeper sense of belonging and safety. Your brain literally starts to operate in a state of electromagnetic coherence, with different areas working in beautiful synchronization. This neural harmony is a game changer for your physical health. It regulates your immune system, hormone release, and the function of your vital organs. Studies even show that people in heightened states of presence have stronger immune responses and are more resistant to getting sick. It makes sense, right? Less stress means less inflammation and a stronger defense system. This awakening also changes how you see and treat your own body. It's no longer just a vehicle you use and abuse. You develop a profound awareness of its true needs. You start making better choices naturally, from the food you eat to how much you rest and connect with nature. Your body becomes a sacred temple, a home for your soul. This shift has incredible effects. Your sleep improves, digestion becomes more efficient, chronic pain often lessens, and your overall vitality soars. It's a whole new relationship based on respect and love. Even your glands get in on the action. The pineal gland, often called the third eye, starts producing melatonin at just the right levels, giving you that deep, restorative sleep essential for mental health. Your adrenal glands, which used to be in overdrive pumping out stress hormones, finally get a break. This prevents the long-term wear and tear that chronic stress causes. And what about your gut? You've probably heard it called the second brain. The stress reduction from your awakening significantly improves digestion and nutrient absorption. It also fosters a healthy gut microbiome, which in turn contributes to a balanced mind. It's a beautiful, virtuous cycle of holistic health connecting your brain and your gut. As your awakening deepens, it's like your entire biology gets a software update. Your cells respond to this new state of coherence. Their ability to regenerate improves, and they produce more natural antioxidants. The practical result is slower aging, greater resistance to degenerative diseases, and a pervasive sense of lasting well-being. You're not just living longer. You're living better, with more vibrancy and energy at every stage of life. Finally, awakening transforms how you perceive illness and pain. You begin to understand that suffering isn't just a physical symptom. It's often a sign of deeper energetic and emotional imbalances. This holistic view encourages you to combine the best of traditional medicine with spiritual practices for truly integrated healing. Your brain's neurochemistry, which once might have distorted your perception and amplified pain, now works in harmony with your entire being, creating the ideal conditions for recovery. So in essence, the impact of spiritual awakening on your health is profound and touches every part of you. It rebalances your hormones and neurotransmitters, calms your nervous system, strengthens your immunity, and revolutionizes your relationship with your physical body. Awakening isn't just a mental shift, it's a biological one. It's the living wisdom that unites mind, body, and spirit into a state of complete, vibrant health. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss our final chapter, where we'll bring everything together and look toward the future of the awakened being. Hello and welcome back. We've reached the final chapter of our journey into spiritual awakening and its deep ties to our brain, our body, and our very essence. What we've discovered together is that awakening isn't a single, spectacular event. It's a continuous unfolding process, a transformation that touches every part of who we are, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. But here's the most beautiful part. This transformation has no end. The evolution of consciousness is like an ever-expanding horizon, always inviting us to go deeper, to explore new paths of self-discovery and integration. As you walk this path, you realize that awakening stays alive as long as you consciously seek balance and work to expand your perception of reality. It's a dynamic living process. Neuroscience backs this up, confirming that our brains have incredible plasticity throughout our lives. This means your brain can continuously adapt, creating new neural pathways to support higher states of consciousness. An awakened mind is a mind that never stops learning, unlearning, and renewing itself. It's a mind that stays open to new, expansive, and transformative realities. It's not about arriving at a final destination, but about embracing the journey itself. To keep this growth going, it's crucial to build practices that strengthen our neural coherence and emotional balance. Think of techniques like deep meditation, conscious breathing, yoga, or even spending time in nature. Artistic practices like painting or playing music also work wonders. These activities create harmony between the two hemispheres of our brain and activate the parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest system. When we do this regularly, we create a healthy environment inside our bodies. These habits encourage a balanced release of neurotransmitters and hormones that support both our physical and mental health. It's a beautiful, virtuous cycle where a healthy mind supports a healthy body, and a healthy body supports a brilliant, awakened mind. They flourish together in perfect synergy. But this journey isn't meant to be taken alone. Cultivating social and energetic connections is just as important. When we interact with people who are on a similar path, it strengthens the neural networks in our brains linked to empathy, cooperation, and collective love. Science has shown that these positive social bonds have a real, measurable impact on our neurochemistry. They reduce stress hormones like cortisol and boost oxytocin, the love hormone, leading to profound states of well-being. So, awakening doesn't just connect you to yourself. It plugs you into the collective field of humanity, reminding us that we are all in this together. Another vital piece of this ongoing evolution is integrating a sense of purpose. An enlightened consciousness doesn't just wander aimlessly. It lives with clear intentions that are aligned with higher ethical and spiritual values. This clarity acts like a compass, directing your life's energy in a constructive way and allowing you to make a positive impact on the world around you. From a neurochemical standpoint, living with purpose triggers a greater release of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which support intrinsic motivation, emotional resilience, and a deep, lasting sense of fulfillment. It's the feeling of knowing you're on the right track, living a life that truly matters to you. It's not about chasing fleeting happiness, but about cultivating a sustainable, inner joy that comes from living in alignment with your soul. And finally, this journey of spiritual awakening invites us to do something that can feel challenging, but is ultimately liberating: to embrace uncertainty and mystery. It's about recognizing that our conscious, intelligent mind is just one small part of an infinitely greater whole. The awakened brain learns to live comfortably with the beautiful paradox of knowing and not knowing, of light and shadow, of control and surrender. This wisdom is the very foundation for an authentic, fulfilling, and deeply connected life. The horizon of consciousness is therefore a never-ending adventure. Every step you take is both an arrival and a new departure. Awakening isn't a straight line you walk from point A to point B. It's a growing spiral, an eternal dance between who you are right now and the infinite potential of who you can become. To walk this path is to honor the flow of life itself. It's to honor your body, your mind, and your spirit as an integrated, magnificent whole. It is to live with courage, with humility, and most importantly, with love. As we bring this series to a close, I want to leave you with this. The most powerful tools you have to sustain and expand your awakening are available to you in every single moment. It's the practice of daily presence, of cultivating awareness in the small things, and of choosing love as your guiding principle. These are the keys to a life of continuous growth and transformation. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey. Your presence and energy have made this exploration so much richer. I would love to hear about your own experiences and insights, so please share them in the comments below. If this series has resonated with you, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. Let's continue this journey of light and transformation together. Thank you, and be well.